thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on this. It's in the UK. It's a lovely Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yeah, it's a lovely Thursday afternoon. So again, appreciate your making the time to join us in the community, and I hope you're finding the community particularly useful. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from members, and they're recommending the community. So that one of the things that you could do is recommend the community to friends, colleagues, anybody can join. They just jump onto the onto our website, go to the community. It's just a Google group. You join the Google group, you can then get access to these forums, the chat space, the Google group that we send information out. We don't tend to spam people. It's not a method of marketing. In fact, anybody that does try to market to anybody on the group, we are quite prompt at removing them. Thank you, Molly, for sending that link through. But if anybody is interested in joining, please forward that on to any of your colleagues. Okay, so with that, I'd like to introduce Steve Holly. Steve and I go way, way back. Steve is, probably as ancient as I am when it comes to Google Workspace. I don't think he'll mind me saying that.
No,
we worked with each other back when Google Workspace, Google Apps, G Suite, all those kind of things. We've been through all of the iterations of versions. Steve is from the US, as you'll probably be able to tell by his accent when he starts talking. Has been involved in Google Workspace for a long time. Steve is now with QREW, and is a specialist when it comes to Google AppSheet. And so Steve can talk to you about that and all the things around AI and applications. So with that, I'm just going to hand straight over to Steve, who'll be able to give us a bit of background, maybe some amusing stories, and then we can get into a conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, as you said, we go back a long time. So I've been in the Google ecosystem since 2003 when I started selling the Google Search Appliance. I was Google App Certified Deployment Specialist number 23 back in the day when they had that certification. So I've been doing this for a long time. As you said, I'm now with QREW, who is a boutique AppSheet agency. That's all they do is AppSheet. I'm going to have to apologize. The initial thesis for today's session was about AI with AppSheet. I am not the technical person. I am the partner manager, quasi-sales, kind of a higher level person. And my SE, who is going to do this, he ended up getting super sick over the last couple of days and wasn't able to join me for that. So before I pulled an audible, and have switched, and I'm going to just do first off, what is AppSheet, and then talk about enabling AppSheet at the citizen developer level. A lot of people here probably use AppSheet for themselves. Organizations are less apt to trust their end users to build, and if they do, they might not have a program around it or organization, and you'll see what we call dabbling is easy, scaling is hard. And to get the true value out of AppSheet, scaling is where it's at with your citizen developers. Before I do that, I will call out a good URL that our friend Martin Hoxie put out about AppSheet with AI. So every AppSheet app automatically generates a, let's pull this up here, automatically generates, is that the right one? Nope, I want to share this tab instead. Automatically generates an open API spec or whatever it's called that you can then go ahead and call via your LLM or your MCP or your agent, whatever it is, to interact with it. And that gives the AI more insight into how your app is structured, the data structure and all that, which makes it a little bit more smart about how to interact with your app than just pointing at a data set. So I would highly recommend, if you came to this session interested in how to make AppSheet interact with your AI, please check this out by all means, and I apologize for the change. So with that said, I will switch over to this, again, citizen development and enabling and scaling. Before I go too deep into the citizen developer aspect, I'm just going to what is even AppSheet? Hopefully, everybody on the call has an idea of what AppSheet is, but let's just set the framework here, the baseline for AppSheet. It is one of the tier 1 applications in the Google Workspace platform. It doesn't get called out as a tier 1 app as often. It's not in the hero logos that show mail, calendar, drive, and everything, but it is in fact one of their tier 1 apps in Google Workspace. And it's really meant to empower your end users to automate their workflows. It's no code, not low code. It is the big difference between this and say a Power Apps. Power Apps is very low code. It's probably more pro dev focused. There's a steeper learning curve. AppSheet was developed specifically with the end users in mind. And that's really powerful. AppSheet enabling those end users, the ones that have the domain expert that know they have a problem, but they just don't know how to solve it. And IT's too busy with other issues and other projects that are more strategic. It just gets put on the backlog. So enabling these end users frees them up to, solve their own problems. It is built with connectivity in mind. That's really kind of the foundation for AppSheet. It connects to all the Google ecosystem, the Microsoft ecosystem, databases, APIs. Some of these require enterprise platform. Most of your basic connectors like Google Sheets and all that, it's already part of your regular Google Workspace account. Google AppSheet Core comes with most Workspace license SKUs. If you want some of the other higher level connectivity with BigQuery or MySQL or whatnot, then that does require an enterprise license for AppSheet. But that said, you can connect to hundreds of different services and platforms. And with the AI component that I just shared with you, you can connect even more. So that's really just what AppSheet is, right? It's a high level, make sure everybody's on the same page if anybody's coming in cold with no understanding. Now, why is AppSheet valuable to organizations? And why do you want to enable your end users? I alluded to it in the last couple of slides, right? The demand is high. The resources for developing, or the resources for developers aren't out there. I forget what the latest stats are, but X%, a significant percentage of developer roles aren't being filled or can't be filled. There's just no talent out there, which is leading to a huge backlog within IT. And you get your end users who have these simple workflows, right? Hey, I'm using a pen and paper process right now, or a spreadsheet and email process right now, and it's breaking because of scale or because of data or something like that. They submit that to IT, but IT is like, hey, you know what? Most of that's never going to find, it's never going to see the light of day at IT. They're just too busy with other priorities and initiatives, right? Some may, if it affects a larger population within the organization, maybe they get put in the pile, but those maybe will be seen in a year or two. IT is really focused, and I think we all are painfully aware of this at some point. IT is focused on like the ERP platforms, the CRM platforms, the now agentic and AI. They're focused on these things that are just don't get, find their way down to enabling and supporting the end users to be more efficient in their day-to-day work. Right. So when it comes to adoption, your end users, these citizen developers, it's really a change management process, but there's some other components to it. And I think, I have these a little out of order. I'm going to skip over this. Let's go here. So you have AppSheet available to you. You're probably dabbling in it. You maybe have some people using it. You want to enable more people. How do you target the appropriate groups? How do you just wrap your head around what citizen developer enablement might look like within the organization? This is a fairly basic breakout. We can look at this in any number of ways. This is the number of rows of data, or how much volume of data, and then the number of users is going to define if it's a basic citizen developer, right, or if it's a more advanced citizen developer, or IT assistant and IT managed. You could also look at this as risk and size, right? So if it's no PII, any personal data or anything like that, and it's only a small team, maybe that's a basic citizen developer. But if we're talking about a department and it's touching, it's integrating with the system, and maybe there's a little bit of risk, then that's going to be more advanced. And I'll talk about how you support these different types of communities here later. And then if this is going to be integrated and it has a ton of risk, or it's for the entire organization, there's a lot of ways you can slice and dice this. That becomes IT assisted, and again, I'll talk about what that means here in a moment. And finally, there are projects that, hey, AppSheet can be the solution to develop or to build and solve the solution, but it's going to be built by people in IT. So while AppSheet is very focused on citizen developer, it really allows pro devs to quickly crank out new features, services, whatnot for the organization. We've built applications for manufacturing for the new product development implementation, NPDI. That's running a big portion of a large global manufacturer's business. And it was developed by pro devs, but we did it because now you're talking about months of development as opposed to years of development, right? So you just kind of need to pick and choose what makes sense, what use cases make sense, where the users are, and then we start talking to them about how we'll support them. Let me go back here a little bit. Sorry. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to go this way. So when it comes to the IT assisted or the end user, this comes from the PMI Institute, the Project Management Institute, the ones that are responsible for the project management professional, the PMP certification that a lot of folks get. They started a citizen development practice as well, and they defined this hyper-agile software development life cycle. It's a little bit different than a typical agile software development life cycle. And what I mean by that is, with hyper agile software development, you can be making the user that's developing the app, be it a citizen developer or IT or a combination, they can be implementing a change, implementing a feature, testing it out right then and there, and then iterating on that super quickly, right? It's not a push a build out, have people Q&A it, have people do the testing, then send it back for feedback, and then a week or 2 weeks later, changes are coming out. In typical software development lifecycle, hyper agile means you are building and iterating rapidly, which gets you to a solution more quickly. So to support that hyper agile software development lifecycle, the PMI rolled out this concept of citizen developer owned, this fast track path. So this is, if you think back to that graph, that basic citizen developer owned, right? There's no risk, there's no integration, simple data, all that. That is owned by the citizen developer. They, after a quick check, and this is done in like a citizen developer center of excellence, or IT, somebody that's supporting them is making this decision. No, this is easy. You're going to own it. The citizen developer owns it. They build it. They design, build, and deploy the app themselves. IT has no involvement in it. It transitions to support and change. This is all managed. Everything, every step along the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, is owned by the citizen developer. Now, I haven't talked about governance within AppSheet. AppSheet provides the capability for IT to put the fences and boundaries around who can do what data sources they can use, what features they can use. You can have hundreds of different policies around this. So it seems scary when you say, yeah, just let the end users build. They have this process, but do that knowing that AppSheet provides the governance and security mechanisms to ensure your users that are following this process are not going to do anything to harm the organization. Okay. So this is the citizen developer led path, that fast track path. If the spot assessment says, you know what, maybe this is going to require an integration, or there's a little bit of risk, we need to have some oversight on it, that will follow the assisted path, which is there's somebody from IT or a more seasoned citizen developer that's gone through the process already to guide this new person that's trying to build an app out. They're going to be assisted in the development, and you're going to have a small team. You're going to have the process owner, you're going to have the mentor or the IT person or somebody, and maybe a few other people from the team, and they're going to build it more as a small team, but they're going to build it, and once it's built, it gets into that whole that hyper agile concept: build, iterate, deploy, build, iterate, deploy. Right? That team can implement a feature, same day they can test out the feature, and then same day they can push it out. So that is your assisted path. The citizen developer still owns everything. They're just getting some assistance on the front end to ensure that it's built out right, or that it's built out for scale, or that it's going to follow the proper processes to ensure it meets the requirements based on the risk assessment or something like that. And then finally, like I said, the third branch is it can go down to the IT delivery path. Again, AppSheet, while it's focusing on the citizen developer side, it very much can be used by pro devs to quickly roll out applications, automations, workflows, and everything there. So I'm going to stop. Any questions about any of this concept so far, about AppSheet in general? Let me know. Going once, twice. All right. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead and back up a little bit here. I apologize for this. Like I said, when I called my Audible the other night, I threw this deck together and it needed a little bit of work here. So, okay. So when it comes to enabling those system developers, you understand the framework for how that hyper agile software development life cycle works, how you can kind of categorize the different levels of creators and everything like that. Yeah, no worries, Alexander. Now, how do you enable them? What's the process to build this out? Again, go from the dabbling, which is easy, to the scaling across your organization, which is harder. It needs some deliberation. It needs to be thought through as you do that. And we focus on three really pillars when it comes to it. First off, this is backwards in my mind, but this is not my slide. Platform setup. You've probably already built some AppSheet apps. You've probably had curious users out there that are trying to solve their problems, that if you don't have an AppSheet program in place, but AppSheet's enabled, I bet you have users out there that have developed some AppSheet apps. But it's probably all been done ad hoc without much governance or any thought about it. So really getting the platform set up. If you're familiar with the Google Cloud Platform landing zone process, right? You're starting up a new project in GCP. You want to ensure that that landing zone is ready to take on a project by ensuring the identity and access management's right, the data policies are right, all that's right. That's what the platform setup is as well. Setting the baseline policies, ensuring that identity and access management is done, that the data provisioning is done. Getting all of that squared away so that when you do bring users on, or you kind of relaunch it, is if you're in a relaunch phase, you're operating from a known good place. Now, I will say, when it comes to the platform setup, there's this, you can't come into it expecting to get everything configured, every knob and dial set and turned the right way right out of the gate. You don't know what you don't know. AppSheet, you have all of your different users have different use cases, different policies. You're going to have to learn as you go. So I would recommend from the platform setup, doing the bare minimum that's going to meet your requirements, right? And then giving it a month or so, monitoring it, making sure, and then based on what you've learned from that month, how users are using it, what features they're using, are they sharing, do they need to share externally, all those types of things, then you can tighten up your policies for AppSheet and then expand even beyond that. So start with the least amount of restrictions that are needed to enable your users, go through kind of a learning phase, and then go from there. And just like the hyper-agile software development lifecycle is continuous iteration, same with your policies. It's never going to be set and forget it. You're going to continue to tweak those as your usage grows, as use cases become more robust, or you start seeing new ways to leverage AppSheet, right? So once you've got the platform set up, now what do? We need to activate our citizen developers. Again, the people that we're trying to support, that we're giving the tools to solve their own problems. And you can set them free. You can just go ahead and say, hey, there's AppSheet. Go out to Cloud Skills Boost. Google Cloud Skills Boost has some really good training. AppSheettraining.com. Shameless plug. I know we're not supposed to sell. That's QREW's training content. There's many resources out there for the end users. If you just want to say, have at it, by all means, you can do it. But what we've found is as you're building this out as well, you're maybe working with a champion within the organization. You identify a use case. It's going to be simple to build out, but it is going to affect a good number of people, where you, as the AppSheet expert, build it out for them and roll that out as you're training the citizen developers, so that the organization, a department or a team, whomever, can see what good looks like, right? Hey, this is what AppSheet can do in the hands of somebody that's developed on AppSheet, in the hands of somebody that's built on AppSheet. This is what AppSheet can do. That helps kind of set in everybody's mind what's possible. So as your citizen developers are starting to go through the education process, they have this, kind of a standard of what an AppSheet app can do within the organization that they can, use to think of, and they can use that to start thinking about how they would solve their problems. And then you start the enablement. I constantly get in arguments with our delivery manager all the time. He is all about the slow and steady wins the race, right? It's citizen development, our cohorts, what we call cohorts, 10, 12 people at a time, and it's about an 16-week process. For those people, they're going to come out with a handful of apps out of that, each person. I'm like, hey, we need to move faster, but I've come to learn to appreciate that slow and steady. This whole process of enabling your end users, like I said, dabbling is easy, scaling is hard. To scale properly, it needs to be an 18, 24-month process to really build this out, build out the infrastructure, build out the citizen developer teams, get things going before you start to really, at that 18 months, 2 years, that's when you start to really see the return, and it just becomes kind of its own program from there. So you set the platform up, you build, usually during a red zone, which is that high level, IT build an application. It doesn't have to be a red zone app, which is a high risk, high number of users. It can be the low risk, high number of users, just that model application, and then activate your citizen developers by developing, by giving them the training, by providing knowledge bases and field guides. We use office hours. So every week, the people that are in the champions program, that cohort, they're going through training, they're joining office hours, and just, hey, what's going on, sharing knowledge and all that. After we've gone through the first cohort, and we're into the second cohort, we typically have people from the first cohort joining the office hours, right? We're starting to build that peer mentorship, that peer group, that center of excellence that becomes self-sustaining, because you will, I guarantee you, you probably know many of them. If you're in IT, they probably are annoying to some point because they make your life harder while they're trying to make it easier. There are people that are trying to solve problems that are not in IT that will volunteer to do this. They'll become those mentors, those champions, the ones that will help drive this program. So as you're selecting these citizen developers, you're going to be looking for those types of users, the problem solvers, and we all, like I said, we all know them. Once you've got these 3 pillars in place, it's really, you're going through the discovery. Like I said, you're starting slow with that one cohort. It's just discovery and experimentation. That's that first 18 to 24 months. At that point, you make the decision, do we want to continue to grow this? Is it providing everything we expect it to provide? And can we support it? And if so, then you go through a typical 5 phases of adoption. I mean, this chart: discovery, experimentation, adoption, scaling, and culture. This is the same for change management across the board, right? So what I've gone through mostly is covering phase 1 and phase 2. If you decide to move on, then it's just doing more of what you've been doing, right? Throwing more program around it, making it more programmatic and scaling it, and then making it, ultimately, if you want this to be a success, you just want it to be a part of the culture. People know that if they have a problem, workflow or a process automation problem that they need to solve, they just know it's AppSheet, right? It's not a spreadsheet and email. It's not pencil and pen and paper. It's AppSheet. So, and once you're here, the ROI for organizations is just really mind-boggling. I did an assessment for a manufacturing customer. We just surveyed the creators of the top 10 apps that they've implemented, that have only been implemented in the last 6 months. And they have 700 or 800 apps implemented in that time. We just surveyed the creators of the top 10 apps, and those top 10 apps in that organization, again, short roll-up time, we're seeing like 1.6 million in ROI just from those top 10 apps out of their several hundred that they have. So if you get to this, scaling and culture phase, it's a significant impact to the organization. I tried to say that without sounding salesy for AppSheet. I'm not, I think everybody knows AppSheet, but that's really it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually made it 30 minutes from just these couple of slides. If you have any questions at all about AppSheet, that's really it. I don't think I have anything else. So if you have any questions about what I covered about AppSheet in general, by all means, I can hang on here for the next half hour if you want to talk about Google Next, catch up, Steve, anything like that.
There was a question about, you mentioned the kind of compliance and all that kind of stuff around some form of structure. Where are those settings in the admin console? I know that Stephen Hine is also on the call. He's a bit of a AppSheet expert. I mean, calling Stephen a bit of an AppSheet expert is a bit like calling he's another guru when it comes to this kind of stuff. So so either one of you could answer.
Sure. So I'll take a stab at it, and Stephen, you can correct me or add on if it needs it. So there's within managing AppSheet, there's 2 areas, right? You turn it on within the Google Workspace admin console. You enable the service. You use that for your groups and access and privileges and all that. But from there, you need to go to the AppSheet admin console. So you have to have an administrator signed in the AppSheet admin console. And then within the AppSheet admin console, that's where all your governance policies and everything like that are.
Is that a thumbs up from Stephen?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's always good to get validation. I mean, and that's one of the main benefits of this community is that, there's not just one expert. We've got loads of people that are experts in all kinds of different areas, and so we're answering each other's questions and helping each other out.
Let me see if I can pull up the admin console here real quick. If you want to tap, there we go. Thank you. I'll go to that link. See if I can get into it with my account. Well, yeah, no, my the account I'm on here doesn't have access to the admin console, but once you get in the admin console, there are canned policies, which are really good, but then you can use if you're familiar with AppSheet uses expressions, kind of like spreadsheet formulas for defining, creating your data, filtering, and all that stuff. Same concept within the admin console for your policies. You're building expressions, if this then that type of thing, and you can mix and match. I mean, literally thousands of different combinations of security policies. Again, what data can be used, who can share what deployment policies, who can deploy an app, those types of things. Yep. Excuse me.
Cool. Any other questions at all? Go on, John. You got a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I just only wanted to know is there a way to determine that you're viewing the app on a mobile phone or in a browser? Like, is there like a formula that can indicate that for you?
So let me ask, what is the reason for detecting that? Is it for security purposes, or is it for responsiveness of the app itself?
For that, for example, I have a custom interface, one that you can view on the web browser and one for mobile.
Okay.
But the problem that I'm having is that I want to be able to see the specific view if it's on mobile and not the web version, and vice versa for the web version also.
Yeah. So by default, AppSheet is it builds responsive apps. You, as the app creator, don't have to concern yourself with, is it a mobile or is it a desktop? AppSheet just reacts based on how you're accessing the app. If the one knock on AppSheet really is that, like, the people that want that pixel perfect UI and want to have full control over the UI, again, AppSheet was focused on the citizen developer who shouldn't care about UI. They just want to automate their process and their workflows. So you remove that from their whole thought process of building an app. So if you have a UI that is different, requires a different view, different feel, something totally different between desktop and app. I think I've heard of our developers building some flags that can do that. I'm not the one to ask that. I don't know, Stephen, if you know for sure, but I would say AppSheet by default is responsive, but it shows you the same thing in a mobile view as well as a desktop view. It doesn't change what the view looks like based on that.
I think John Stevens just posted there. Go on, Stephen.
Yeah, it's the context option, and you can look at the host. The host tells you whether it's desktop, mobile, desktop, or the mobile interface.
That's why I'm in alliances and not in tech.
Perfect. So just as a kind of a question generally, and obviously without getting into the stuff that we were talking about at next, but where do you see AppSheet, or sorry, not AppSheet, let's call it citizen development, going with regards to the likes of AI and things like anti-gravity, where I've got a team now here who they're just bypassing all of the no-code, low-code applications, and they're just asking AI, create me an application that does this. And then they are creating what our class is pixel perfect type of apps that have skins and themes and branding and all that kind of stuff, which kind of supersedes what you're getting with, it's not got the full power of all the connections and all of that integration, but it's getting there. So, what are your thoughts in that kind of direction?
Yeah. So this is just my personal opinion. By no means reflects any of my employers or Google's thoughts by any means. I think I'm going to call it 6 months. It could be shorter, it could be longer. there's still a need for a citizen developer platform like this for deterministic type of workflows to create it, because your agents, your agentic, there's not a good I don't know everything about agentic yet. There's not a good one for one, if you will, for what AppSheet does versus what Agent Developer Kit or Agent Builder or workflows or anything like that. A lot of those are single step or whatnot. So AppSheet is multi-step, human in the loop, all that. Now AppSheet will eventually, through the open API or other things maybe coming, will support MCP or A2A or something like that allows you to continue to build in that deterministic, kind of structured process, but give the keys to an agent to use it, right? And learn the structure, learn the data structure, learn the actions that it can take, which gives you more reliability than just pointing at an agent at data and saying come up with something, right? It could definitely hallucinate from that. Stephen, that MCP for AppSheet, I could go on for a long time about that right now, but so I think a long story short, I think there's still a space for no code for short term. I don't think there's really a good equivalent in the agentic space yet. And just seeing, you just saw, who was it? The car rental facility just had Claude wipe out their entire customer database and reservations and everything. AI in the hands of end users, I don't know if people are ready for that yet. That said, when as agentic platforms or AI platforms are being developed for the end users or citizen developers to build their own stuff, the concepts I just shared about enabling citizen developers don't change, right? I think at Next, I heard it was McKinsey and Accenture. They were talking about their AI adoption framework, a three-tier framework or three-column framework, and the first one was citizen developers, right? So you still need governance, you still need training, you still need to make sure that they're using it for what makes sense at their level, right? So it's not going to change. What enabling no code, you citizen developers, is going to be the same as enabling citizen developers with agentic sometime. I'll stop rambling now.
Perfect. Cheers, Steve. Christian, you've had your hands up for quite a while, so apologies for the delay. You okay?
Yeah, I kind of had a thought about that. Well, I had a question about something else, but I had a thought about that last question where, since I saw everything at Cloud Next, I was pondering this thought, and I see the potential for AI in the hands of end users. I mean, the ability to develop things has just been democratized by AI, and part of it scares me, but part of it excites me. But at the end of the day, even if you develop something as, using, anti-gravity or whatever tool it is, you still have to establish the infrastructure to host it, to run it, all that kind of stuff, which you don't need to do on AppSheet because it's already there, right? Yeah. So there's certainly value in that, because, basically hosting and running an application, the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff, security, et cetera, in the cloud is not trivial, right? So I think that there's a lot of value there. Now, getting back to my question, which is a totally different topic, just curious, what are the biggest or most common thresholds that would require an organization to move beyond the AppSheet core, which is included in their Google Workspace subscription, and upgrade to Enterprise Edition?
Enterprise? Yeah. So to your first point about, it's not trivial deploying AI built apps to the cloud. I'm with you. I think it was Paul and I were talking last week. Next, I vibe coded an app called Court Seeker for it's kind of like the Waze for tennis to find courts, and I deployed it to Cloud Run, and oh my gosh, that feeling when I first deployed it, like I don't want to get these runaway spend of tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, I don't want citizen developers to have to worry about that, or IT to develop it. Worry about those types of things. So 100% with you with AppSheet. It's already built. It's a known quantity. Absolutely. So as far as the where's that line between core and enterprise? It really comes down if you need governance. So the governance component only comes with enterprise. So if you need to be able to control, manage what apps your citizen developers are building, you're going to need enterprise. If you want to, and with that governance, again, you can set up, hey, this team can use these data sources for building apps. So it can be Microsoft Excel or Cloud SQL or anything. Any of those SQL or enterprise type of connectors will require enterprise. So governance, the connectors, those are usually the big ones that drive the enterprise license requirement. Yeah, those are usually the two big ones: the data connectors and your governance requirements. Let me think of. Anybody else has a question? I'm going to go pull up the. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I think while you're thinking about that, one of the things that I don't think people actually realize is that if you host a project on GCP or any of the cloud providers, there isn't a cap. You basically put your credit card there, you put your bank details there, and it just runs. And so whatever you utilize, whatever you get charged, that's the cost of the platform that you're running. So with something like AppSheet, you at least know that you've spent your money, you've got your license, and the application is running. You're not going to start to suddenly then receive. And we had a funny conversation with Steve while he was talking about his court tracking, getting those emails at 2 o'clock in the morning that says you've exceeded your budget is a bit of a stomach churning experience, especially when you get 3 or 4 of them in a row. Right, Steve? So it's important that if you do create applications, you do host them within a cloud platform, that there are boundaries. You understand the cost implications of doing that. And sometimes a citizen who is developing an application may not fully understand the running cost of certain API calls or the way that they've actually developed an application. So again, it's important that there's good governance around those particular applications. You don't want to just be allowing people to submit applications without it being properly understood what the cost implications are going to be.
Right.
Yeah, that, or I'm not going to deploy it on the cloud. I'm going to run it. My employees who developed it is going to run it on their own employee-owned laptop. Mm-hmm. Right, and have the secret keys and everything there. It just kind of scares me. Like it's becoming too easy in a way for governance to not take place. Yeah.
So this is the pricing page for AppSheet, and it's really a very useful tool to look at what the enterprise features are and the different, what's available in the different SKUs. Like I said, core, which already comes with most of your enterprise, most of your workspace packages, has these features. Enterprise, which is the add-on, that's where you're getting into the machine learning, the advanced data, which I talked about, advanced authentication. So if you want to, if you need to authenticate with a third party like Okta or AD or something like that, enterprise data services, so OData, Google AI, and then. And so on and so forth. So I would say this is a really good place to go, and I can put this URL in here. That will help you kind of determine or think about, hey, am I going to need enterprise for this or not? You can have a mix of licensing within your organization. So you can have core licensing, and you can have enterprise, and enterprise can be used for those key applications that need the governance, that need some of the other data, but your citizen developers are just building with core. for example. So you can mix and match that licensing.
Excellent. Appreciate that, Steve.
Yeah.
So any further questions for Steve before we kind of just move on quickly just to,
Hey,
Jay,
it's
you got
Jay
it?
here.
Yeah.
So I'm more on the sysadmin side of things, mostly in the GWS. So I'm curious, when I'm looking at the admin center, I just see options to turn AppSheet on and off. Are all like the more granular controls going to be found in like the GCP, like on the cloud side?
No, good question, Shay. I thought Stephen threw a link into the admin console. So you're seeing the workspace admin, like, yeah, turn on or off the service, set up your groups and everything. There is if you scroll up to 1132, a link to the admin console for AppSheet. So that's where all the governance and policies and settings and everything like that are specific to the AppSheet service.
But that's only on enterprise. So you only see that if you've got an enterprise
fair point.
license. If you're still on core, you don't have that at all. So you need to go up to the enterprise to get the admin console for AppSheet.
Okay. So I can turn AppSheet core security on or off here, and then all those options should appear once it's turned on.
No, it's at an AppSheet URL. I provided it in the chat a while back.
Yeah, I opened your link there, and all I'm seeing on my side is just an option to turn AppSheet core security on or off.
That's the wrong link. You want that's the admin.google.one. You don't want that one. You want the AppSheet one.
AppSheet. Let me just put it back in the chat.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sorry, gang. I appreciate that.
Sure.
But you'll only be able to access that if you're paying for an enterprise license.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Good question.
Awesome. So just as a question from me on non-AppSheet related stuff, has anyone now noticed the Ask Gemini in Google Chat? I've got it in my chat. I'm just wondering how widely rolled out has that gone?
Yeah, I've got it, tested it.
You got it? Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah, I saw it the other day too.
Yeah, I've got a few domains. It's not in one of them, one of the business accounts. But it's definitely in my Besmin Labs account.
Have you tried?
For me, that was
Gemini in Drive yet? The new one.
I've not tried the new one yet. Well, what are your thoughts?
Impressive again.
Yeah.
It's finding everything everywhere, so it's pretty good.
It was an alarming way to find out that my enterprise was set to rapid release.
Paul, are you talking
Yes,
about
it was very, very handy.
Sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, are you talking about the recent announcement, kind of the global view, if you will, of Gemini? I was chatting with one of my gems. I said, "Hey, what do you make of this?" And it said, "This is Gemini on a within the domain global scale will be able to look and see everything that you have access to." Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. So and so
Okay.
what it appears is that Google is using the chat window and Spaces as a place to communicate and collaborate with Gemini. So you can ask it, find me a particular document, do something with it, all that kind of stuff. So quite a lot of organizations turn off chat.
Okay.
But I think chat is going to be, it's going to be more important than email moving forward.
I thought you were talking about more globally rather than just chat. No, I haven't seen that one turn on in mine yet. Speaking of spaces, our space, the Hangout space, do they have rooms? Can we make rooms, for lack of a better term?
I do not know. Was that something? I think Christian, you mentioned something like that about there's a new update around segments or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe. I'm thinking for our Google group, and this is just us people, right? Not open to anybody right now. I guess it doesn't matter. But I was talking with one of my buddies. I think it would be fantastic in this Google Chat space if we could have separate rooms. For example, a room for app sheets and app scripts, and then another room for all things Gemini, and kind of sort
Gotcha,
our
yeah.
conversations a little bit more. And I don't know, maybe even have an advertising room for, sales guys like me to say, hey, let me show you what we do. And
I think
everyone
we'd be
can,
in
of course, ignore
a
that
very
room.
small
Everyone
echo
ignores
chamber
that room.
Yeah, I agree. To be honest, I probably wouldn't, even if it was, probably wouldn't implement it, because sometimes you don't want to be part of a particular room, but then you find things interesting that you're not into. I may not join an AppSheet room, but I found this conversation really interesting. And so I would not necessarily jump into a room, and I'd feel like I'd probably miss things. So, I don't think the community is very, very chatty. I think we get 1 or 2 messages a day. So for me, that's
Okay.
That's kind of a good balance. If it was super noisy and a bit like some of the Slack channels that are out there, then yeah, we'd look to kind of segregate that down a little bit. But yeah, I find that the chat spaces tend to be quite tight, quite easy to manage.
It's small enough, I guess, to manage now,
Mm-hmm.
to just search in the space itself for what I'm looking for. But just didn't know how big you wanted to get this thing, and if that was even an option in spaces yet.
And ironically, if you were a chat early adopter, you'll remember that spaces used to be called rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Cool, excellent. So we're coming up to the top of the hour. I know that people have got things to do, places to go. So again, appreciate your time. As I mentioned earlier on at the beginning of the call, if you can, please share what you've learned here with your colleagues. Share the links with your colleagues. Get as many people as you can to join this community. As long as they're adding value, the more the better. As Chuck was saying, it would be great to get quite a lot of people in this community. We're getting around about 40 people every month in a face-to-face meeting, which is absolutely fantastic. So with that, I will let you all get off. If you have any ideas or suggestions for future events, please get in touch with myself or Molly. I really wanted to do a what did we think of Google Next kind of session, but there was just so much that was being pumped out that just trying to organize that was a logistical nightmare. So maybe the next one we'll do a Google Next kind of outro to see what was going on. Chuck, you can have the final word.
I just wanted to ask if we could get some of these links, which I think are fantastic, and maybe any more that people can suggest for us not so good citizen developers to look up and explore, perhaps in our chat instead of the meeting chat. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
I know, Stephen, you're probably full of them.
Yeah, no, by all means, hit me up. I'm more than happy to chat through any of this.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. We'll get that sorted. Excellent. Okay, guys. Thank you very much, and speak to you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Bye for now.
Thank you.